Procreate offers a ton of hidden features which you might have not explored yet. So I have put together 10 tips to help you streamline and elevate your creative process. And just for you to know, I think the number 7 and number 9 are my favorites. Hi, I'm Eva Michaels and I'm a professional illustrator and creator of online classes to help creatives like you. And while I worked on many different projects, large and small, for a long time, Procreate has been an essential part of my workflow. So in this video, I'm sharing my current favorite Procreate tips, whether you are new to the app or you have been using it for a while. And you will learn a few things you might not know or maybe you have forgotten. And don't worry if you are new to Procreate, because I will guide you step by step through the features that I wish I knew when I was starting out with Procreate to help you speed up the workflow and make creating in Procreate feel effortless. Alright, let's get into it. So here is the first tip that I find super helpful, especially when I'm drawing something like a stylized light reflection on the water, rain, elliptical flowers or underwater bubbles and other geometric shapes. Well, you get the idea. So let me show you how you can draw a straight line super easily. So you would take your favorite brush. And here, if I want to draw a water reflection, I draw a line and then I hold it in place, and Procreate will help me to create a straight line. If you want to have a line which is aligned with the horizon, just tap on the canvas and the line is aligned with the horizon. So if you zoom in, you can add more lines. And you can be very sloppy, tap the canvas and repeat this process if you want to add more lines. If you want to adjust the line, you can also tap here and you will get these two blue points, and you can edit the line also after you finish drawing it. It's that easy. And this trick works for shapes too, as I mentioned. So let me show you how you can draw perfectly elliptical flower. So draw an ellipse. Again, it can be quite sloppy. Hold in place and the ellipse is created. So without lifting a pencil, you can also adjust the shape size, the rotation, and so on. Then when you release, you can edit the shape here again on the top by moving some of these handles and adjust the angle again. When you are done, you can also tap here or just on the canvas and you have perfectly created shape. If you want to draw a circle, you would do similar motion as you can imagine, but if you want to create perfect circle, you can tap on the canvas and Procreate will help you to create a circle. And you can do that with other shapes as well. Just create the shape, finish the shape, release, and then here you can tap on edit and you will get more of these points. So you can play around with geometric shapes. It's a simple but super useful technique for getting those clean, precise shapes just right. And while we are here, let me show you another one. Have you ever filled a shape in Procreate and ended up with a weird little outline around it, like a halo effect? I used to just paint over these edges before I kind of found easier fix. So you can imagine that you can drag the color into the shape, hold your pencil down, and you will see the color threshold here on the top. Slide to the right to increase the threshold, and then the edge will disappear. So this is much faster way to fix that halo effect. Another common issue is the color spilling over the canvas. So one of the things that you might not notice is that you didn't close the shape properly. So the color would spill over like this. Sometimes you can fix it with lowering the threshold, but in some shapes you might need to close the shape properly before dropping the color into the shape. Another common issue is that you might be drawing an object somewhere within your bigger artwork. For example, if I want to add a mountain here in the background, and now I want to drop the color within shape, but the color threshold doesn't really help me to fill the shape. So here I need to make sure that everything is connected also on the edge of the canvas and the shape is closed. And now I should be able to drag the color and drop it within the shape and everything works. So always make sure, even when zoomed in, that your lines might not actually reach the edges of the canvas, causing the color to spill out of the shape. Alright, now let's move on to another tip. Let's say you want to draw bears to add them into your winter illustrations, but you are not very familiar with their anatomy, or you can't just draw them from top of your head. So to use the references, go to the wrench icon and here find the reference and toggle on the references. First, you will see the reference window with your canvas, but you can import the image into your reference window by tapping on the image and import image. And from your reference images, you can choose the image that you want to use as your reference, as you can imagine, by tapping on the image, and it will be imported to your reference window. And you can scale up the image up and down, and you can also move it around your canvas so it's not in the way. You can also scale down the image within the reference window, and as you can imagine, you can also scale it up. To close the reference window, you can just tap on the X in the top right corner. You can also use your reference images by sliding up and selecting your images or Google search and drag your references to the side of your screen like this and release. And then you will see your reference images on the side of your iPad. And you can also adjust the preview using the slider. Alright, and here is another way how you can use references. It's by importing the photo on your canvas. I get this question a lot, especially if you are not comfortable yet stylizing the animals and other references by just looking at the reference window. So to import the photo, just go to the wrench icon, go to the Add menu, and select Insert Photo. And then you can import the photo that you want to trace. So, for example, we can import this photo. And you can scale down the photo by using the handles in the corners. And if the photo is smaller, you can also tap here to fit to canvas and it will fill your canvas. And when you are scaling and adjusting the size of the photo, make sure you have the uniform transform option selected so you don't change the proportions of the photo. Then I can also move it here to the side, scale it down even more, then open the layers menu, tap on the N on the layer to reduce the opacity of your reference, and around 20% works in this case. Then create a new layer with the plus sign, and now you can start tracing your photo. And once you finish tracing the lines like this, return to the layer menu, hide the layer with the photo reference, And then you can continue with your illustration, with your traced sketch. And if you want to learn how to stylize polar bears and other animals, I have also these illustrations as a part of the tutorial. Alright, let's move to the next tip. And here is the next tip. One of the most powerful tools in Procreate is Perspective Drawing Guide. And I get asked about it a lot. So here is how to set it up and use it effectively. Go to the wrench icon, select the canvas menu, enable the drawing guide if you don't have it enabled yet, then tap on Edit Drawing Guide, and you will get all of these options on the bottom menu. Select the perspective mode, and at first you won't see the grid because you need to create it yourself. Simply tap anywhere on the canvas to set a vanishing point, and you can move this point using the blue circle around the canvas. And you can also extend it beyond the canvas, as you can see, and then you can create up to 3 vanishing points for the 3-point perspective. So I will add another point here. You can also adjust the thickness so you can see it better. You can also delete it and adjust the color here on the color slider. So I will adjust the vanishing points to fit my needs. So when you are happy, you can tap done. I can sample the color that I want to draw with, and I can use the lines to help me guide me through the perspective here. And if you want even more help, you can go back to the wrench icon, Edit Drawing Guide, and you can turn on the assisted drawing. You can tap done, and now when I will draw, it will help me to follow the lines of the grid exactly. So I will make the brush a little bit bigger so you can see it better. And if you want to draw a line, you can hold in place and then you are able to detach from the grid as well. You can turn off the drawing assist by going to the wrench icon, Edit Drawing Guide, and turn it off here. Or you can also do it on the layer that you are using by tapping on the layer and turning off the drawing assist. This tool is especially useful when drawing and sketching environments, as you can imagine cityscapes, or adding houses to your landscapes. So now if I turn on the drawing assist again, I can simply use the grid and just draw on the grid super easily. So here is the next tip. Always try to check your values if the light in your artwork works. And switching to grayscale is a great way to focus on values when painting semi-realism or realism. So there are different ways how you can check your values and the grayscale. One of them is to set the grayscale mode for your entire iPad. And this method turns everything on your iPad into grayscale, helping you analyze values without seeing the colors. So go to your iPad settings, find accessibility, go to the display and text size, scroll down to find the color filters, and toggle the color filters. And for a quick access, you can also set it as a shortcut. Go to the accessibility again, find accessibility shortcut, and set it to color filters. Now if you triple click the home button, everything turns to grayscale. And tap it again, and it's back into color. And if you prefer to keep your iPad in color like me, you can do the checking the values in a different way. Go to layers, create a new layer, go to colors, select gray by tapping on the left side, then drag the color on the canvas, open the layer menu again, tap on the N, and change the blending mode. For example, here you can select saturation, and this will turn your artwork into black and white. You can do this also with hue and color in this case. And when you want to go back to the color, you just toggle on and off this layer. And I prefer this technique because you can skip the hassle of putting the entire iPad into grayscale. Just quickly checking in, are you also so excited about all the cool ways how you can use Procreate? Especially with the drawing guides and other tools, so much to explore. And if you can't wait to dive deeper into using Procreate, don't forget that I have also other classes, and you can also download my free cheat sheet about Procreate gestures and shortcuts, as well as free brush set. Alright, now let's get back to it. The next tip I want to talk about is creating gradients, because one little downside of Procreate is it doesn't have a built-in gradient tool. But hey, no big deal, right? Because we are designers, illustrators, and basically creative people, so we can find workarounds. So let me show you what I usually do. I like using a soft bristle brush, which gives me a control to create and blend colors naturally. So just layering and lightly brushing different tones together gives you quite a lot of control. So if you want to create gradient using bristle brush or other textured brushes, I will show you on this character. So I will find a layer, and I will activate the alpha lock by tapping on the layer and selecting the alpha lock, or you can swipe on the layer to the right to activate and deactivate the alpha lock, and you will see this checkered texture on the icon of the layer. Now, with the same brush as I just showed you, I will swap the color to light gray color, and now I can softly add some color to the bottom part of this character. And just like this, I created very simple gradient here. And you can do this with any brush that you love. You can also use the selection tool and just partially blur part of your illustration. So I can choose the legs of the character with the selection tool, go to the adjustments, and use a Gaussian blur to blur part of this illustration. And you have to adjust the amount of Gaussian blur that you want to apply. And if you're wondering about the character illustration, this illustration is part of one of my classes all about drawing characters and practicing character balance in motion. Alright, let's move on to the next one. So when you are deep in the painting session, searching through a massive brush library can interrupt your flow. To stay focused, I like to organize my go-to brushes into favorites folder, and it makes switching brushes quick and seamless. So to create your favorites folder, you can just tap on the brush icon on the top toolbar to open the brush library. Scroll down on the left side slightly, then tap on the blue plus icon to create new folder. Then you can name the folder however you want. So for example, favorites. So I'll just write faves. And to add brushes that you like, you can just go to the folder with brushes that you use often. Then you can tap and hold on the brush and drag it into your newly created folder. And then you can just repeat for each brush you want to keep handy. This method keeps your brushes organized and accessible, making your workflow much smoother. And Procreate will soon introduce brush libraries, which will allow you to create multiple collections. So there should be more advanced brush organization system you can look forward to. Alright, now let's move on to the next tip. Isn't it cool to have your own signature brush? Well, I use my signature brush all the time. So let me show you how you can create yours. Start by setting up a new canvas with white background. I like to use a square format and I usually use 3000 by 3000 pixels, and we can set it to 300 dpi, even though in this case you should be able to use also 150 or 75 when we are using a digital version of our brush, but why not to use 300 dpi if you have enough space. Then tap Create, then select any brush that you like, adjust the size of the brush to fit your needs, use the black color, and then draw your signature. Once you're happy with your signature, swipe down with 3 fingers, select Copy. Next, go to your brushes, tap on the plus sign to create new brush, go to the Shape option, tap on Edit, tap on Import, and select Paste. Tap with 2 fingers to invert colors, then you can tap Done. Finally, go to Spacing under the stroke and adjust your spacing to maximum and tap Done. And just like that, you've got your own signature stamp brush. Alright, let's move on to the next one. And here is another tip I usually get as a question quite often, and that is how to turn your artworks into PDF in Procreate, which is quite easy. So let me show you how I would use various artworks which I created in the past and turn them into the PDF booklet. So go to the wrench icon and in Canvas enable the Page Assist, and the toolbar will appear at the bottom of the page, similar to the Animation Assist. Here you can organize your pages by dragging them around. Always just tap and hold, and then you can move the page to the different position. If you want to include all the layers in your PDF, you would just enable all the layers. If you want only selected ones, you would just enable the ones you want to include. And then you can easily scroll through the pages of your booklet here at the bottom, and you will see which page is the first one and how your PDF would look like. To export your PDF, go to the wrench icon, go to the Share option, and go to the Share Layers and select PDF. Do not use the PDF option here because you will get only one image as PDF. If you want the PDF with more pages, select the option here at the bottom. And then you can choose the desired quality, which will affect the file size. Once exported, you can share or save your PDF anywhere. Alright, let's move on to the next one. So here is another thing I like to use often to speed up my workflow. The quick menu is a powerful feature in Procreate that can help you a lot with your workflow, and let me just show you how you can customize it to set up your needs. To enable the quick menu, just go to the wrench icon to open the Actions menu. Then go to the Preferences, and from Preferences, go to Gesture Controls, which is right here, And in gesture controls, find the quick menu option. And here you can choose from all the options how you want to activate your quick menu. As you can see, I have it activated with touch and hold. When you select your preferred option, tap Done to save your settings. Then you can activate your quick menu with your selected gesture. And in this circular menu, you have 6 buttons and you have more options with actions which you can assign to each of these buttons. You can just tap on one of the buttons and then you can see all the options that you can choose from. And some of the actions have also submenu, for example, adjustment. And you can even set very specific adjustment to one of the buttons. And as you can see here in this option, I even selected one of my favorite brushes for specific painting. So to do that, I would select the brush from a brushes option. So you can set the action to select brush, and you can select any brush from one of your favorite folders. And you might be thinking, what if I like more brushes to have in my quick menu? So to do that, you can tap here in the middle and you can create more menus with different options. For example, you can have a quick menu for sketching, for watercolor painting, for photo editing, and so on. To create a new menu, you can just tap on Done, and you can also rename the menu. And just like this, you can have different menus for different ways how you use Procreate. So as you can imagine, this feature gives you a quick access to your most used tools, making your workflow smoother and more efficient. And like this, you can really imagine you have countless options how you can set up your workflow. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this tip is all about using the Lasso tool to color areas quickly in Procreate. The Lasso, or the selection tool in Procreate, is a great way to fill areas with color quickly and efficiently. So let me show you how to do it. I'll just zoom in here so we can create some leaves or abstractions of leaves. To access the Lasso tool or selection tool, just type on the squiggly icon here. From the bottom menu, make sure that you have a freehand selection or freehand mode selected for manual selection. Then you can just draw different shapes or one shape that you like. And make sure that it's fully closed before you drop the color in. Now you can just drag and drop the color into your selection. If you want softer edges rather than this type of look, go back and before dragging and dropping the color into your selection, go to the feather option and adjust the feather amount maybe to 4%, and then you can drag and drop the color. And you can play around with the amount of feather or softness of your edges. And let me show you another way how you can speed up the process of coloring with the selection tool. So let's tap again on the Lasso tool to create a new selection. With the freehand option mode selected again, tap here on the color fill. Now I can draw different shapes, and every time I close the selection, it's automatically filled with color. And this speeds up the process a lot, as you can imagine. I really like this option when I want to quickly color block areas, especially with architecture, also with nature, or just quickly testing things. So like this, you can use the selection tool to quickly color block the areas. And you can also set it up to quick menu as we just looked in the previous tip. So you can set up the selection tool, or you can set it up to color fill as well in your menu. Alright, as you can see, this method is perfect for blocking in the colors, creating flat illustrations, or just quickly refining your artwork. Congratulations, you made it through all the tips. But wait, don't just go yet. I hope all these tips will help you to work smarter, create better workflows, and enjoy creating art even more. And if you are looking for more cool tips and illustration projects to boost your skills and portfolio, don't forget to check out my other classes and also sign up for my newsletter to stay updated when I will release my new art program, and also get information and updates on freebies and other cool content. And feel free to tag me on Instagram if you share art inspired by these tips, so I can share your creations with other people. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!